Isn't the delete button working? What's going on here? Wow, this is cool. This is
supposed to
something
work
completely
this way.
different.
Wow, this is crazy.
Oh, nice.
Who
This is something
gives a shit?
for 5
Sure, this is
unbelievable.
Oh, I see.
You know what? Buck FIM. Hey, how's it going, Buck FIM listeners? Thank you for joining on. We got a great episode lined up today. We got a good old friend of mine, Mr. Chris Taylor, that has opened up a wood shop in the heart of the pandemic, and it's been doing well for him. Today's special. It's my 10th episode, so we thought we'd bring some limelight to the small shops. So, Chris, thanks for joining on the line.
Thanks for having me, Dennis.
Hey, anytime. It's great. So, it's nice to get out of the norm and step away from something and do something else. The words and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, Chris, tell me, how did Dark Hollow become Dark Hollow, and where'd that tree logo come from?
Yeah. So I've been always helping people with renos and different projects, as well as my own projects, doing custom woodworking kind of on the side as I did other jobs. And my last job, I was working for an engineering company, and they didn't have flex hours.
Yeah.
And my wife started to get horribly sick, and we didn't know what was going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept having to take time off work to help her and look after our daughter. And because there was no time to make up, or they didn't let me make up because they didn't have flex hours.
Yeah.
It just became less and less appealing, and kind of apparent that I need to start my own business, just so that I can be there for my family when they need it, and make up hours around when I can get it in and get a full work week in that way. So then the tree, I've always been like a comic buff, big into like sci-fi and crazy stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I
of
kind of
course.
wanted Dark Hollow to be like a fun environment, and not just a wood shop. Wanted it to be a cool place. So I was talking to my wife, who's an artist, and who's really talented, and I said I kind of have this vision of like this moonlit clearing with all sorts of different creatures and a living tree. And so she drew the living tree, and then my daughter named the tree Oki. So yeah, it's just this get this big mystic oak tree as the logo, and it's just kind of grown from there.
Man, it's super awesome. I really like it. So it's funny because like I was like, Dark Hollow, where'd that come from? I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like a Grateful Dead album or something. I was like,
Yeah,
which makes it even better. But yeah, I love like the spooky design too. It kind of brings out like the old cartooning. But
thanks, man.
yeah, I don't know, it's pretty awesome. And this is kind of a message out to all employers out there. Don't be a stickler. Don't be a dick. Make sure to give your employees some flex time so that they can support their life. Like, come on, do your thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm fortunate to have a company that I'm working for right now to give me a little bit of freedom, but not everyone gets that. So, that's key.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because I've heard from some people that still work there now that since COVID and all this lockdown stuff, the company's had to change its tune, and that
Of
people are
course.
able to work from home, where they weren't allowed to before, and they're able to have flex hours, and it's like, oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Oh, not until you're forced to. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, so pandemic and everything, obviously it's going to come up. People are getting tired of it. It's ridiculous. I mean,
yeah,
I need to get some beers with people and I can't do that. And that's
yeah.
super frustrating. So, anyway, so I mean, with that being said, there's obviously a lot of renos happening and people trying to do shit themselves in their house, exploding outsides of their buildings, unfortunately. But with that, do you find that the custom woodworking business is taking a little bit of a hike because of it?
I feel like there's still a lot of rental work, and there is more and more custom woodworking as well, because everyone's trying to fix up their lockdown space, and because now that people have to spend every minute of every day, or pretty damn near. They're definitely being like, hey, this is really bugging me more than it used to. We gotta finish the basement. We gotta do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely more demand, I think, right now for custom woodworking. And I personally am finding that a lot of people get really, let's do this, let's finish a basement, and then they get way in over their heads, and then I get a phone call, and it's time to fix it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Fix my shit. There's water everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
so true. It's so true. I mean, like, well, I'm deep in it right now. I've got there's a team of plumbers working behind me, slapping some stuff together in the background. So it's yeah, it's crazy. I know you got to do something to keep you busy, I guess.
Yeah.
So I mean, so with woodworking, where'd you pick up woodworking?
I did a bit of woodworking and kind of stuff with my dad growing up, just a bit here and there.
Yeah.
Really got into it in high school. They had a really good tech wing at the high school I attended in Stratford.
Awesome.
And I just really great teacher. I think a great teacher makes the world a difference. I really developed a passion for woodworking, and I told myself I was only going to do it as a hobby, and
Yeah.
now I'm doing it. I've found more of an enjoyment in it. So yeah, now I'm doing it all the
That's
time.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a shout out for that teacher?
Sure, yeah, it's Steve Faber from Stratford Northwestern.
There you go.
Yeah.
Steve, you demand. Look what you've
Yeah,
done.
exactly. Yeah.
You've
Thanks,
created
Steve.
you've created a scary tree woodworking monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So I mean, you mentioned before this, like you're obviously in a different field. I mean, that field did have some technology playing into it. Has the use of that sophisticated technology allowed you to do woodworking differently, or?
I think going to college for the same program you did, the architecture, construction, engineering, technology. I think that is a huge help when it comes to renovations and understanding building code and a basic building envelope. And I think definitely building science is a huge one. There's a lack of understanding I find with a lot of contractors
Yep.
as to best practice for building science and why it might be smart to kind of go the extra mile with the building envelope.
Yep. Yeah.
That's definitely helped. And learning a BIM, that's been handy for modeling renos. And that transition too, I primarily use Fusion 360 now for modeling furniture.
Oh, sweet.
So it's definitely been handy to have a background with other Autodesk softwares
Yeah.
to kind of build up the knowledge and then utilize all those tools, because a lot of people have trouble visualizing finished product.
So true.
Yeah, and even with like some of his coffee table, to me, I see it in my head immediately, but some people they just can't envision that. So it's definitely
Yeah.
handy to model up something quick and be like, here you go, here's a coffee table, and then they're a lot more confident and comfortable with the idea.
It's so true. It's so true. So for the listeners that are on this, be cool. Stay in school. Like finish your school. Do some shit because it'll help. It really does. Like so I mean, like obviously technology is growing and stuff, but I mean we have a more pertinent problem right now with lumber shortages. Have you found that that's affect you, or like have you had to refocus any efforts to different materials? Like,
So I've had to turn down some jobs like deck jobs
yeah.
and stuff like that. Especially last summer, pressure treat went through the roof, and now the rest of the lumber has gone through the roof as well.
Yeah.
And there was that the whole shortage. And yeah, when you don't have the material to do jobs, you gotta turn away the jobs because not everybody wants to build a deck out of composite because it's five times the price, like minimum.
Yep.
So it is what it is. I know that there was basically contractors capitalizing on the shortage, and they were waiting for like trucks of pressure treated 4x4 to
Yeah.
come in, and they'd buy the whole truck, and then they'd sell it to other contractors that were in desperate need of it, that had started a deck or another project for like a few bucks more a post. So it was chaos, and
Yeah, I
it's
can.
it's still chaos.
Oh man, I got like a 8 foot by 7.25 LVL in my back shed. I got set up laser beams and security system back there to keep it from being swiped.
Yeah,
Just a single one. I have to like learn kung fu to protect my wood.
yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Well, I was watching a video, and it was showing Home Depot pricing compared to last year to this year,
Yeah,
and they were showing a 2x4x8. Last year it was $3 or 3.25,
yeah.
and this year it's 8.50 a board, which is just insane. And I think there's a lot of lack of, or a disconnect of understanding.
Oh yeah,
People like, oh, why is your quote um, this much more than last year? Like, well, believe me, it's not more labor, it's the material cost. It's insane.
yeah,
Like I
yeah. What can I
Yeah,
tell you? It's all
yeah,
about the wood. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That is crazy. I mean, obviously to help it reduce that, you have to get creative. I've noticed that you're starting to use like epoxies a lot now too.
Yeah, yeah, I use a lot of epoxy right now for a lot of projects. And I also, because of lumber being so costly for custom woodworking projects, I always like to suggest using salvaged material.
Yep. Yep.
So I've got some deals where I get stacks of hardwood pallets that I break down,
Mm-hmm.
and then I mill that, and I can laminate it together with epoxy and make really unique pieces.
For sure.
But yeah, it's definitely about finding versatility, I would say, to save the customer cost, because not everybody wants to pay the extra premium for the lumber prices right now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you definitely have to get creative, whether it's with an iron or epoxy or whatever it might be. I mean, that goes down to skills with your shop teacher, Mr. Steve, there really coming out handy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, do you do any CNC work in the shop or?
So I've just recently started CNC work. I've got a Onefinity CNC.
Yeah.
They just started selling last year, and I think I waited about 9 months to get it in. So I've just started playing with it, but I'm excited for what I can do with it. Just to give you an idea, so typically when I would flatten a big piece of material before, like when you do a big glue up, you
Yep.
got to flatten it after. And I would use a router, and I had made a router sled, so it's just I would go back and forth
Yep.
for I don't know,
Oh,
for
jeez.
an eternity.
Yeah.
And what took me like an hour of manpower the other day. It took me like 10 minutes on the CNC to flatten a piece, and it was it
Amazing.
was it was beautiful.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I don't. I definitely just remembered planing and jointing, and then you walk away for a day and come back, and the thing's just like, what is going on? Why is this
Yeah.
thing moving? Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, so we've been seeing a lot. Like I've been to Autodesk University the past couple of years, and we're starting to see like utilitarian robot arms being more realistic for small shops. Would you ever see yourself using one of those?
Absolutely, I would. Because I've the anything that can save time, really is
Yeah.
huge. Especially when you like a lot of projects, you charge time and materials. So any cost you can cut the
Hmm.
customer is obviously appreciated by the customer, and then any time I can save and then put in other projects is just crazy helpful.
For sure, especially if like if it's just you or someone in the shop, and maybe even like on the other end of a table saw, and you just need that arm to help guide you. Like that would be sick. Oh man,
Yeah.
the amount of times that you have to like sit on the end of a board and try and jump it through. And I mean, obviously that's not proper workflow etiquette, but uh, have pieces of wood flying around the shop that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Oh, oh man. So I mean, let us know what do you have going on these days? What are you working on now?
I got a bunch of different projects going on. I just made the mold for three separate molds for three epoxy like coffee tables.
Yep.
So I gotta pour those. One of those is gonna be cut out on the CNC. It's gonna be it's gonna get cut as a perfect circle.
Yep.
Um, and then I'm hoping to do something unique with the offcut from that piece, and then the rest are just some standard cookies,
Mm-hmm.
walnut cookies that are going to get filled with different colors of resin. So
Awesome.
we're gonna see where that goes, and then I'm working on a pine log bunkie as well that's going to get shipped from the shop to Push Lynch Lake. So
Amazing.
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I love watching those kits go together. Super fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, like a lot of crazy stuff going on. It's awesome to see the craft really forming together and bringing. Like I grew up woodworking with my mom, and mostly we did furniture restoration, and we had like probably two or three rooms in our basement that were just filled with unfinished furniture at any given time.
yeah.
My dad just sat there waiting with a lighter, being like, "I can't wait until we can just burn all this shit." But we had fun doing it. I miss my shop. I mean, you have a pretty nice shop out there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You are welcome to come out and use it. You know.
Okay, fair enough. I'll probably break something. It's been a while. I gotta
That's
go
cool.
through them. You gotta put me through the safety the safety things again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we're actually hoping to add a bunch of like broken drill bits and like saw blades and stuff to a big epoxy like
oh, cool.
conference table to for the shop. So like, feel free to come out and break more stuff.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I'm good at that. Yeah. They used to call me Oops on site, so that was a fun one.
You still have all your
Uh,
fingers, right?
I do. I do. I got a toe that's flatter than the rest, but that's I won't point out any people on that. But anyway, do you have any advice for any consumers when scoping out woodworking solutions for their homes?
Definitely buying local is definitely key. There's a lot of talented makers and woodworkers out there that make beautiful pieces. It's definitely buy local to support those guys because I know that a lot of small businesses are struggling um, because of this pandemic. And I would also say that um, to encourage buying at least one nice piece for your home, and not being afraid of the cost, because you buy a custom woodwork piece from a local shop, they're gonna pour their heart and soul into that piece. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be a piece you can hand down to other family members, like pass down a family heirloom, just stuff like that. Like that's something you're not gonna get from IKEA. It's not gonna last. It's gonna eventually fall apart. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it happen many
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so important, and having something that's well built. Just there are companies out there, but again, as Chris was saying, just stay local. Feed the local businesses. Make sure that you're paying attention to what's happening around us, because even with lumber prices, Chris just mentioned earlier in the podcast here that the using salvaged wood. I mean, you're not going to bring in salvaged wood from across the border just to to reuse it. You're going to take advantage of what's here. So, yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, Chris is building a piece for me in my basement right here. I'm super excited for it to come out. It's I've seen the work that they do at the Dark Hollow Wood Shop. So if you haven't had the opportunity, Chris, what's the website that we can go see?
We got darkhollowwoodshop.ca, is the website, and then primarily if you want to see more kind of ongoings of what's going on in the shop and more posts of the different stuff we do, check out Instagram. I use that primarily, and that's at Dark Hollow Woodshop.
Awesome. Well, you know what? Thanks, Chris, for joining on the line. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully things will loosen up so we can slam some beers together and enjoy a campfire or this new basement renovation that I'm doing. Who knows? But
Yeah, for sure.
hopefully. But for the listeners, thanks again for tuning in. It's my 10th episode. There's going to be plenty more coming up. Tune in on Thursday for those of you who want to get involved in the Dynamo training so we can learn some programming. And keep on BIMing. Do your thing. Thanks, Chris.
Not a problem. Take care.
You too.